potentially couldn't be Waffle, and Connor, I'll come to you for this one, is James Maddison. But I don't know if we're going to win the race with him against Newcastle, but I feel like he would be good for us. Do you think?
Oh, he would be the gem. He would be like, do you know when you're making a sandwich and you feel like you're missing something, and you find it and you put it in and you're like, wow, what a sandwich. I'm so glad I had that. That is, I mean, that's probably a really bad example, but that is exactly what Maddison is. Maddison's what we've needed for so long. And yes, he didn't fit Conte's style. You know, you could argue he didn't fit Mourinho's style either, but he is literally that creative player that we need. My argument is that if we really want him that much, I don't care if he's an Arsenal fan. I don't care if he's tweeted weird stuff about Bale in the past. You know, people always tweet weird stuff. For me, it has to happen. But if it has to happen, we have to push for it now, because if Newcastle are competing with us, why on earth would he go to Tottenham? If it's serious, yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100% right with that comment. If we want to show ourselves, we show ourselves now. We go for it, because yeah, we're not in Europe, but if we go for him and all of a sudden Newcastle aren't doing anything and he's holding out for Newcastle, then we don't do the deal because he doesn't want to be here. But if we go for him, Newcastle don't come in and he wants to keep the deal going, then we do it. Like, you know, like Mitch said earlier about Raya, if we can get that done early, why are we not getting this done early? I don't want this to be a rumour for the whole window for us to then finally miss out on him and, you know, get till January without that player still. I want him so much at this club, but it's just a case of them actually getting it done. So yeah, he would be the dream, to be honest. He carried Leicester so much last season, honestly.
100%. And we've said it all season. I know, yes, it didn't necessarily work with the Conte system, but you can see that gap needs a creative player in there. And Jay, do you think, like Connor has alluded to, Maddison could be that man?
Yeah, he carried Leicester to relegation this season. The thing is for me is I think he's a quality player, and I really do. But this is, I don't know whether Daniel Levy's put something in my drink today or something, but paying a relegated club £55 million is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. I don't know whether, you know, Leicester are, you know, doing themselves a disservice in the fact that, you know, I know Newcastle have got money and we've got money, but if I was a owner, I'd like to think people would look at the situation and go, there's no way that, you know, I saw earlier Southampton are wanting 55 million for James Ward-Prowse. Like, what world do these owners live in? You know, that's not how it works. You know, the only thing maybe that Leicester are concerned about is that he's only got a year left on his deal. So, you know, they're trying to cash in. But even so, this goes back exactly to the Raya conversation. It's the right price for the player. I would 100% have Maddison on the team. I think he definitely fits the hole that we're missing. But if we can get Alex Scott for cheaper, then, you know, take a punt on him maybe. But, you know, okay, he's not proven in the Prem, but, you know, this is the point. If as a club we're rebuilding, maybe getting proven players isn't the way, because we've tried that supposedly in the past to get proven players in the door and it's not worked. So maybe we need to go back to Poch days where we had players that weren't world class but were good and had potential and were trusted to do their jobs on the pitch and made a difference. But yeah, I don't know how Leicester can command that price. I really don't.
No, I mean, you make some valid points there, Jay, in terms of the price again. And like you said, I feel like that's the theme with these teams at the moment. I feel like they're picking out their best player and trying to sell the most for it. I mean, Mitch, is it the same kind of vibe? You've had him in a heartbeat, but that price is a bit too steep.
Yeah, I love James Maddison. I think he's exactly what we need. I think he's just the perfect sort of Eriksen replacement to fill that creative hole that we've been missing for the last couple of years. And do you know what? There's a few sort of variable factors with the whole Maddison thing. I mean, there's not a bone in my body that believes that James Maddison will be playing in the Championship next season, regardless of what Leicester are demanding for him over the summer. I think what could very well happen is that it seems like Spurs and Newcastle are the two in the running for him, but with, you know, these whole reports going around that Newcastle have only really got about 70 million to spend this summer, are they going to use up 60 million of that on James Maddison? So what we might see happen is it might drag out over the summer, which I know we all don't want. But as we go weeks into the transfer window, we might see that price start to drop. I think the other thing that might actually work out for Spurs a little bit, and I think I've seen reports on this as well, is that, you know, Maddison's been relatively keen on coming to Spurs for a couple of years. Obviously, I think most of us know that Daniel Levy tried to push for him last season, but Conte ultimately didn't want him. So that's why nothing really opened up for him. I think he likes the idea of living and moving to London, which is a big draw for a lot of players, which is, I think, something that gets overlooked. I know it's probably more prevalent with players coming from abroad. They think, yeah, I'd love to live and play in London. All of that, very convenient, very easy. So I think that's potentially one advantage we've got over Newcastle. I know, obviously, if you're sensible, you pick Champions League football over really wanting to live in London instead of Newcastle. But I don't think there'll be much in it. Ultimately, I don't know what he's going to choose, but I think it will be one of the two clubs, Spurs or Newcastle. I really do hope it's us, but we know that Daniel Levy's quite tight on the negotiation front, and like the other two were saying, in terms of a fee, maybe it is a bit too much for someone that has just been relegated and, you know, not too much time left on his deal. However, like I've just said, Daniel Levy's been quite keen on James Maddison for a few years now. So does that give him the extra incentive to just go and try and get a deal done? Do we approach it in a similar way to the David Raya deal? Speak to the player, try and get personal terms agreed and say, look, we want you. Do you want to come here? Yes, fine. Right now, let's go and sort it out between the two clubs. So it's unfortunately, I think, going to be one of those deals that gets quite complicated. And because it's quite high profile, I don't think anything is going to be done anytime soon on the front from either Spurs or Newcastle. But we'll see. You know, I might be surprised. I think, when was the last time we had like a signing out of the blue? I think it was the Basuma deal, where it just sort of popped out of nowhere. We were like, yeah, Spurs are signing Basuma. Maybe something like that can happen again. That would be nice.
Maybe. It would be quite nice to be surprised now and again.